Hello, everybody. Welcome back to BFC5. I've got a new face, but a handsome face with me as I'm still Lance Cecil here with TDM now. What up, TDM?
Not too much. That was a pretty exciting end to game two. Jay and his team have been pretty dominant in this series. I hope that can continue after in game three after that kind of surprise spanking at the end there. They should have won that game.
I think that they should have won that game as well, but that's why you draft Ock with the very first pick in the BFC5 draft for stuff like that, and TDM, we play a lot of this game together, and we both love Mr. Meds as we're PCC people. Meds is a PCC person, one of our best desk analysts. That Muriel pick had a lot of opportunities where it came in and saved them, but you and I are the resident predecessor Muriel haters. I don't think that hero does anything. You don't necessarily love it either. I think that they were doing the right things with it, trying to make the split push happen. It's definitely not Med's fault that they lost that game at all. It probably sounds like I'm saying that. Not at all. Just expressing my own hate for Muriel. I hope we don't see that again in this draft, as I don't think it worked as well for them, although we did see the Narbash banned. We should have that draft ready for us pretty soon. Who do you expect to see them ban in this matchup that we may have not seen so far earlier?
Would it be kind of rude to say I expect to see the Shinbi ban?
I think that would make sense if they got rid of the Shinbi, but the other portion with that problem with that is you only get one ban. You either have to ban Countess, like Jack was saying, because Ock's good on it, or you got to try to ban Shinbi. Maybe you just let Ock pick whatever they want, but the draft is ready. We're going to check it out, and we're going to get the answers we're looking for.
I would personally prefer banning the Shinbi. Look, Ock might be amazing on Countess, but I think Countess is far more punishable, and Countess doesn't allow Ock to do what she did in that last game. Like, Countess can't really take down a core safely by herself. That is a Shinbi move. We see it happen in PCC, and now we see it happen in BFC. It's consistent what that character can do to solo win a game.
And we're going to see Crutch on a new hero, as he has played Zarus in the first two. Team J has had enough of that, enough Colosseums, enough single target pick off, put a big cage, separate it. I wouldn't be surprised to see, actually, it's going to be the Gideon. So Team Crutch not wanting to go against Jay on the Gideon again. I was going to say I wasn't going to be surprised if we see Aurora not be able to be picked up. Wouldn't be surprised to see that first picked by Team J on this run.
Yeah, Warps played it really well in the last game, so I wouldn't be surprised either. I do actually really like the Gideon ban as well. I think Jay, especially in that first game, was able to initiate every single team fight for his team. He was the captain through and through, and his black holes were immaculate. But because that Narbash was not picked up, they're not forced to play that freaking Muriel. They get the Narbash.
They do get the Narbash. That is quite favorable. Mr. Meds played a very good game one. Played a good game two. I want to make sure once again I'm not talking crap about my guy Mr. Meds, the new dad over here on that Muriel pick. I just hate the hero. Love the Narbash hero. That is going to have a much larger impact. Very smart first pick for them. I wouldn't be surprised to see Team Crutch now go this pick that we just saw come up, though, with the Aurora. Still have one more pick available to them. Who do you think it's going to be?
Well, they answered for me with this Drongo pick. Drongo, a really safe ADC, continues to be a safe ADC even in this 6-item patch. The silence, really good into the Narbash. If the Narbash isn't going to be rushing, that True Silver Bracelet, the ultimate is kind of unusable in that lane, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was picked up first. That is what Mr. Meds elected to do in game one, and it's kind of standard for a lot of Narbashes, especially into CC, like the silence, and of course the Aurora, who is potentially the new master of CC in this game.
Definitely up there. She's got so much versatility within that kit, but now there are still some really strong and good heroes available for Team J in order to be able to pick up. Gonna go back to that Chimera that we saw Warps on in game one. I think that Warps had a fantastic game two, but it felt the presence and the fear from Team Crutch a lot more in game one when he was on the Chimera. Gonna pick up Pog D on the Kira as well. So the exact same draft from Team J that they had in game one so far.
Yeah, look, Kira, Narbash, not very strong in lane, but they weren't really punished too much for doing so. And same thing in PCC, when teams have lots and lots of practice, we saw Narbash Kira be run consistently by D-Lab, and they were not able to be punished for it. And this is an environment where you don't have a lot of, practice together, right? You're going to have limited, not none, but limited. So being able to punish that lane for not really being able to be very proactive in the early game, it's probably not gonna, come through here. And that lane, once it gets to late game, Narbash nearly unstoppable in the late game, probably the best support in that phase of the game. And Kira just explodes everyone she touches. She deals so much damage.
We're gonna see the Decker picked up, which I do like the Decker into the Narbash. If you can get through the True Silver Bracelet shield, there is a lot of lockdown potential on that. The other thing is you can't True Silver Bracelet through one of the walls, right? So if you can get a Narbash right on the edge of the containment fence as you lift it up, maybe your team's got the opportunity to run out of the Crash Bang Boom. So a decent pick up there from Team Crutch. Gonna see how Snipe's able to perform on that. They do get that ban come through. It looks like they're gonna ban Faye, so really targeting Jay's hero pool. We've seen him play 2 heroes so far this series. It has been Gideon, it has been Faye. I would be very surprised if they don't pick up their own mid laner now in this situation to target that pool of Jay even further.
Yeah, that would be the correct play. I'm thinking I really like Howitzer this day and age. I really like him with these new items. Soulbinder, he's able to get that stacked up really easily with all of his abilities. He's able to just start stacking. Potentially also, they could pick up Gadget, who I think is actually stronger now and combines pretty well with Aurora. Both those ultimates on top of each other are just going to explode a team fight. But, let's select it. I'm interested to see who they decide to choose. Argus, this is not going to be going into support because, of course, they have the Decker, but Argus is still able to deal a lot of peel for his team or setup for his damage and for everyone else. The CC that's coming out of Team Crutch is something that they can use as a crutch because they have so much of it.
I agree, and we are getting to the last rotation here, so the draft getting close to being over. Greystone's going to get picked up, so once again, they don't have the availability to pick Gideon up. They're going to have to take Bellica, but this is the exact draft, other than Bellica, that they won game 1 with. We'll have to see how Crutch decides to round this out, but kind of going back to it wasn't broken. We're not going to do anything to try to fix it. Let's draft our first draft. Now Crutch is going to have to respond to this. It looks like they're still looking for their potentially either jungler or off lane. Gonna pick up the Grux, which we love seeing the Rhino on it. Probably going to be in the jungle. A lot of cool changes have happened to Grux with some of the new items to make him a more effective jungler. But I believe that this VOD is ready, and we are ready to get onto the map, get ready to start game 3, the deciding game of this series. Winner goes on, losers got the rest of the weekend off.
Yeah, I mean, you're making it sound like the losers are benefiting here by getting a weekend off. That is not what they want to be doing. Crutch and his team, they were able to claw victory from this.
We potentially just lost Tedium, as it sounds like he went into a vacuum there for a second. This match should be getting started really soon. I am very interested to see how the team for Crutch plays together in this, as we do see it's going to be the Grux who goes into the jungle, off once again onto the Aurora that we saw in game 1. They started to see some of those new interesting Aurora mechanics from them, but we should be able to go. Tedium, are you back with us? I heard you say test there.
Yeah, I should be back.
Perfect, great. So you're going to join us 45 seconds into the match, but that doesn't matter. Better late than never. Do any of these matchups or anything that you see in this stick out to you? And do you want to highlight anything early for us, Tedium?
No, but I am a lover of CC. I think CC is the way you have to play this game. There's no diminishing returns. There's no items like BKB from Dota. Like, CC is nearly unstoppable in this game. Not every character can build a cleanse, so I really, really love it. And Team Crutch seems to be doing the same sort of thing. They've got an Aurora, they've got an Argus, they've got a Grux, they've got a Decker. They even have the silence from the Drongo, who's able to, stop the link from going off. The CC on this team is off the charts.
Very high, but I mean, it's high from the opposite side as well. You've got the Cole, you've got the Seismic Assault, you've got crash bang boom, I guess there's not a whole lot coming out from the Greystone other than kind of the slow, but a big lockup, big explosive team fights could very well happen within this game. There's so much potential in what could come out of them, especially once we start to hit the point. If it's anything like the other games that have been in this series and they're going well past the 30-minute mark, people are going to be getting close to full build. Some people are going to be finishing full build. You see, Ock gets the level 2 advantage, able to push RJ off of some of that early experience, start to bully out that Greystone early. Good containment fence after it. Mr. Meds does get out, hasn't hit level 2 yet, and in the early parts of it, before like the 2-minute and 30-second mark, the most important thing is getting that level advantage in those side lanes. In mid, they both kind of hit it at the same time because of the way that the waves crash, but if you can get level 2 and take really big advantage of that, you can start to snowball your lane if you're in these more outside, wider lanes, and you saw Ock do it, and you saw the enemy team do it when, oh, actually, no, you saw Team Crutch do it on both sides. As in their duo lane, they hit level 2 first, were able to get the stun ball into the containment fence, and then Ock walks up early on them too.
Yeah, they have been able to do a lot so far because of their CC. They use the containment sense, they use the stun, then in the mid lane, they use both CCs to force the blink out of the Bellica, and in the off lane as well, Ock didn't land the Hoarfrost, but hitting level 2, threatening that CC. It's already looking powerful, and it's enough to take down Jay for first blood. TG,
put him on the board,
TDM combined, and on the other side of the map, Verdict takes down Meds.
Crutch looking like they are standing strongly on both legs, both feet right now, as they get the early 2-0 advantage, able to pick up the mid laner, able to pick Mr. Meds up on the Narbash as well. So a little bit of extra economy into them. Gonna try to do what they can to move that into the later portions of this game. But if we've seen anything from this series so far, early leads don't mean crap here.
That might be true, but what I do want to highlight is Crutch ganks that mid lane, and he forces out the blink from Bellica, who I think is quite weak without a blink. No mobility in that kit. And immediately re-ganks and punishes her for not having that blink. Crutch, I think, has been not silent in this series, but he's been a little bit quieter than, say, Warp. And I'd like that already here in Game 3, that might be looking a little bit different.
Ooh, the blink is going to have to come out from RJ, as Akram had that passive ticking, was doing a lot of extra damage to it, which once again is going to shove a wave either into or very close to his tier 1 tower, which is going to give Ak an opportunity to push that level lead even further. Yeah,
this Aurora in offlane is really powerful, mostly because of that passive. It's essentially a free Brimstone.
Crutch is coming in. Oh, they missed the stun ball on it, so not a lot of follow-up, as TG White Wolf had roamed over as well, but you'll just chalk that one up as a missed shot.
Yeah, well, they did end up getting the flash out of the Narbash, and now there's a little bit more pressure going to be applied here on this side of the map, here around Fangtooth 1, which they definitely want to start taking. They're definitely going to want to start snowballing by taking all these Fangteeth. Look, Fangtooth 1, not the most important objective in the game, but starting to stack those up, starting to threaten Fangtooth 2, and then threaten Fangtooth 3, that gives you a lot of control, not only onto the map, but into the heads of your enemies.
It does, and we've got a little bit of a lull in the action. I want to kind of take a second to talk about the fact that we've got a Grux in the jungle here, TDM. It's different. Usually in the past, historically, through the 18 months that Predecessor has existed, Grux is an offlaner. Some of these new items like Earthshaker, some of these other options we're gonna have to talk about in a second, because there is a Greystone who's getting blinked and he does not, or getting ganked and he does not have a blink. Pull is gonna come in, but Warps is over here on the side as well, gonna start chopping at each other, and they're gonna have to back away. Nobody's really got the damage or the low health bars enough to really finish anything out here.
Yeah, the big thing with Grux, we kind of saw it in that engagement, is that he does have a dash, but he doesn't really have a lot of mobility. Someone like a Greystone can get away really easily. The problem is his dash is so small, he kind of has to waddle into the lane and just kind of doesn't have a whole lot of gank potential, but luckily all of his lanes have additional CC that can get him in range to then use his knockup dash.
Right, all you got to do is get him into the place, and then he can charge right onto you, knock you up, pull you in, give you the double chop, maybe hit the ult as well, as a lot of people overlook it. Grex's got 3 crowd control abilities on the 4 that are available to him, and he's a brawler. It can be super, super oppressive. We missed it. Solo kill just comes out. Akram kills RJ in the solo lane.
And if I'm seeing that correctly, the ultimate didn't come out.
It didn't. That is correct.
Potentially, is it? Yeah, Aurora's ultimate was used. Maybe the stun from the cryoseism was enough to just make sure that he couldn't use the ultimate on the other side.
It very well could have been, but it is going to open up the opportunity for them to go on to this first mini prime as a little bit of a different change from what we saw in the first 2 games. Really, Warps and Team J were the ones that were kind of on the objectives and getting them where they needed to be. They're not even looking to handshake this, trade it for the first Fangtooth, as they're going to give the mini prime over to Aurora.
Yeah, and I think giving it to Aurora is the correct call. Yes, they could put it onto this Rux, who's able to roam around the entire map and maybe push down a mid tier 1, push down a left tier 1 to, you know, ensure they have more map control of this Fangtooth. But Akram has been winning her lane pretty dominantly. We just saw a solo kill come out, which secured that mini prime for them. I think giving it to Akram is definitely the right play.
I think it is as well, because it has an opportunity to take this Greystone almost completely out of the game. Has already been solo killed, still does not have that blink available to them again, as they expended it 2 ganks ago or 1 gank ago. But there's just, what are you going to do? You have no pushing power now. Aurora's going to clear a wave super easily, is already up 1 level, might potentially be able to push it even further and keep this Greystone to the point of irrelevance until he gets 3 or 4 items, which is quite a while from now.
Yeah, Greystone really does want to get a lead. He's going to struggle into compositions that have a lot of CC or have a lot of damage. They can just burst him down before he can use his ultimate. And that's kind of his biggest strength, is being able to have a lead and be tanky enough that 2 health bars from him, and in the past 3 with that Phoenix, which is of course not in the game anymore, but multiple health bars from a big tank who's dealing pretty, you know, significant damage is scary. But look what is able to come out from Akram. All the damage is just insane. The ult is forced super easily.
It is, and Warps is here, so Ox gonna have to play this a little tricky. Is gonna use the double jump, still has the Hoarfrost around it, gonna be able to take the wall as well and get out safely. So a 9-minute tier 1 tower. Narbash has fallen once again too, so a huge lead for Team the Crutch TTV right now, as they're up 4 kills, moving towards this Fangtooth, already have a mini prime, already have a tier 1 tower, and we're 9 minutes and 30 seconds into the game, TDM.
Yeah, hey, we know that objectives early in the game apparently do not matter. What was Team J up, like 6 objectives at 20 minutes? It just doesn't matter anymore, but hopefully Crutch and his team are able to just actually use these effectively and secure that final objective, which is of course the core. How this team is playing, focusing on objectives this time, not letting it fall behind. They know they're able to win from behind, so they can probably win from ahead. So let's focus on getting ahead.
I agree with that, but I just want to make sure that we're not spreading misinformation here, cheating. We can't be known as the guys doing that. Objectives do matter. You just have to be able to end the game after you get those objectives.
There's actually only one objective that matters, and it's the core. It's
it's my KDA.
It's like in chess, like the queen, it's important to take out the enemy's queen, but it's more important to take out the king, because that actually
wins the game for you, right? So we have a little bit more pressure over here onto Jay, who is once again pushed to his tier 1 tower. Opt's gonna go around, maybe try to look to do some counter jungling. Not gonna be able to find much, as she did walk right over a ward by that blue buff. So gonna try to move, take this tier 1 tower down in mid, it looks like, as they've got the boys here ready to do it. Do have both Warps and Jay showing up, so not gonna get anything quite out of that yet, but now moving over to the duo-side lane of the map, as that Greystone is so far away and has to push so far to be able to keep his lane safe and be relevant within this again.
Is standing on a ward, so they do know that this Aurora is around, but even just standing there with this green buff, with this shield, being level 10 is applying a lot of pressure and drawing everyone's attention to make sure their duo lane doesn't get ganked and that tower doesn't go deep.
Just to quote the great Patrick Starr, standing there menacingly, and you have to give attention to it. You have to work around. Yeah, that Fang Tooth's not up, so there's not that much to really be gained from being on that side of the map for Auk there. But if you can get in there, get a couple of picks, then you can potentially look at one of those other tier 1 towers that are in that spot. So you have to be respectful of it. Now both of the dual or the offlaners are going to move in, but we've got a gank here. The ult is going to come out from Decker. The big slam is going to come out from Crutch as well. And we are now at 5-0. And Mr. Meds just kind of has to sit there, turn himself back. Actually, Warps is going to show up to try to keep this pressure down a little bit, keep them off the tier 1 tower, as that was definitely looking to potentially fall if Mr. Meds and Warps wouldn't have stuck around for it.
Yeah, they might not have the Zarus anymore. This Decker is using their walls just as effectively, forcing out the blink from Meds and then killing the ADC. Warps and Meds trying to get something in return. They just don't have the damage.
Yeah, and then once again, we see a little bit of that, an example of what you were talking about with Brux's slight problems, or balance adjustments is probably more likely what it is. We're just not barely enough range to be able to pull Warps in there, but that would have been quite bad for Warps if he wasn't able to have the cleanse available.
Absolutely. But I do think that the strength of this composition is their late game. The composition, sorry, of Jay is the late game. Narbash, very strong in the late game. Elika, very strong in the late game. Kira, very strong in the late game. And once it's there, you actually have to face they're going to be quite strong in that phase of the game. The trouble is they're having, they're struggling in this part of the game to get anything going, and they are falling behind a little bit. Already 5 kills to the enemy team.
They are down 5 kills. There is still just a little bit of posturing going on. Yeah, it's 5 kills. The lead's not that big, and it's not that much for them to overcome. Akram is on the other side of this wall from Jay here. Jay needs to be a little careful. Is going to get the seismic assault and get knocked up, but he's going to get Dread Nova. He's going to have to flash out of the containment fence to save his own life, try to keep this tier 1 towers alive. Meds comes in to refill the health bar for them. Very suiting to the name to see Mr. Meds play Narbash showing up, raising everybody's health bars back up.
And that is the strength of the power. That is what he can do. He might be the hero of his own. He is both 5-4. Akram peeling him away, but Akram has to blink out as well. That's both ultimates expended. But now all of Team J are onto this mini prime.
All of them are, all 5 members, really not a lot that can be done to contest this. Ak is around the corner, but that would be a suicide to run in there, gonna smartly walk away from it. So they do get themselves some ground to stand on. They've got somebody with the mini prime buff up. Who did they decide to give that over to? I do not see it. It looks like maybe it's onto Warps. It looks like it is onto Warps. And the second Fangtooth of the map is spawning right now as well, so should be able to knot that up, as not really in position to be able to defend this. You see Crutch on his 4 camp. Actually, it looks like they are going to walk over. Is the blast cone available? Doesn't look like it is. Gonna walk around and get to it, but the hunt is gonna come through from Warps. They're gonna be able to pick that up, and here comes the fight. Ambush is gonna come in. Crutch is gonna get knocked up right away. Health bar going very low. Has the Scallons come out. Crash Bang Boom's gonna be able to take him down as well. Actually, it looks like Jay is gonna be the one that gets that kill. So that's a 1-0, and the Fangtooth Team J clawing themselves back into this game, Tedium.
Yeah, and that's exactly what matters. Yeah, they were down how many objectives, how many kills. It really didn't matter, because what they did there was they forced the blink out of the jungler. They forced the blink out of Auk as well. They got mini prime, then they got the second Fangtooth, their first one. Yeah, only got a kill in the end by killing Crutch, but this is how this begins. This is how the comeback starts to happen. This team is good in this mid game, good in this team fighting phase, good in the late game. And, I'm not sure if Crutch and his team are, far ahead enough to, counterbalance that.
Right, the scaling that comes out of it. You mentioned it during the draft. They start a little bit slow over there in the dual lane with Kira and the Narbash. Not a lot of early wave clear, not a lot of early ways to do a lot of damage. But as that Narbash starts to ramp up, starts the ability to get more healing done effectively, able to have the mana regen in order to be able to keep that ability on for longer, the Kira just starts blowing people up as she starts to get higher level as well. Has some of the highest single target damage in the game, especially with, the left click, right click, left click combo that she can whip out super quick. Hoggy is going to be able to really start pumping that damage on. And Jay, you know, on the Bellica, gonna be able to hit those passives 2 levels away from getting the last point in the next ability in order to get that 10% extra mana, get that added benefit to the ability that they're leveling second as well. Start to come back into this game and have a lot more potential in these fights than they did in the early levels where the composition and the kits of Team Crutch could kind of overpower them.
Absolutely. They are, just trying to stay in this game for now, just trying to continue to farm up, maybe look for some pressure somewhere, maybe here in mid warps, looking for a little bit of a D ward. They really want to get the tier 1 tower down. That's for both teams, of course, because a tier 1 down in the mid lane is some of the best map control you can get. It gives you access to both of the objectives, gives you access to better roaming for your mid, and now your fights, you can have a man advantage.
You can have that man advantage. They also have the pushing power advantage, as we've mentioned too. And looking at the tier 1s, they kind of did bring that up. They got the dual lane, or actually no, it was they got the, oh no, never mind. It is 2-0 in tier 1 towers. I just can't read a mini map sometimes. We do have Crutch fighting in warps over in the jungle. The rest of the members are around. They may be able to come around and get in and be a part of this into this chokehold here. Good seismic assault is going to knock 2 of them up. Crutch is going to go in, gonna hit the warlord's charge, gonna start chopping them up. One member just gonna have to flash out, not quite falling, but it's gonna be Crutch who goes down early, so he uses the blink to get in, and then it's gonna be Jay who's gonna get taken down by Watwolf. Hog D using the purge up on top of it, not connecting to the members that he's looking to get. Still just a 1-for-1 trade right now, but Mr. Meds and Pog D on the back foot. The stun ball is going to land. Crystal's going to get there, going to pull him back in as well. Going to have to flash away, use the slide. Verdict trying to get the last auto attacks on isn't going to be enough. Warps and Mr. Meds coming from the other side. Are they going to be able to get into it? Do they have the mana? It looks like Mr. Meds is pretty low, not going to be able to speed up Chimera to get the ambush on to restart the fight.
That was really unfortunate for Crutch. An insane initiation. He ults onto blinks in and ults onto 4, but it just didn't matter. His teammates were just slightly too far back, and of course the epoch coming out of Bellica was able to buy enough time. Yes, the Bellica was the only one that died, but it bought so much time for her team to just counterattack and kill the Grux before anything else happened.
And it was very, very close. That's the razor's edge that these teams are playing on right now. If they don't have maybe that epoch and the members are just a little bit closer to put some extra damage onto that, they maybe don't turn around and kill Crutch that early. But that is the way the cookie crumbles in this so far. And once again, it feels like Team J is starting to climb themselves back into this game, much like we saw from Team Crutch in the last game.
I do really like the attempt, though, from Crutch. I think that is one of the ways that you can counterbalance the kind of short range initiation that Grux tends to have. The blink, it is on a long cooldown, but when you can get in there and essentially be able to have a miniature shield slam with a 4-man ult like that, you are able to just initiate fights in a way that most people don't really expect you to do.
Yeah, I think Crutch made the right decision there. If that was so close to just going their direction, like we've kind of said a couple of times now, but that's Grux, man. There's a reason we all said, oh, he's Gruxing, because you just go brain dead. You just jump in there, you just push your buttons, you hold down left click, and you just chop, 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 chop. And unfortunately, they had the damage in order to be able to blow him up, but we've got a little bit of a chase going on the Akram here as the ice bridge is going to fall. Uh-oh, that's not good for Crutch as he goes in. It is a little bit of a bad spot. Warp's actually going to be the first one to fall. Crutch is going to follow him to the graveyard as well. Crash Bang Boom's going to come out. Not going to be able to get it off before dying, though, as Narbash is going to fall as well. Now it is RJ who is taking a lot of the damage. That is 1 for 3 in favor of Team the Crutch here.
Yeah, but they also get the blink coming out of Greystone. That blink onto the Drongo, trying to trade out a kill. I don't know if it was worth it. RJ, a little bit desperate there at the tail end of that fight. A little bit sloppy honestly, for both teams. They were really desperate to find something here on this Fangtooth, but it does go to the side of Crutch, who's looking a lot stronger in this game than they were in game 2, despite the win.
I agree, and I'm perplexed by the closeness that this seems to be in right now. we do see a grouping around the Fangtooth once again, trying to get in there, get that second one, get onto the point of having 3, and it's going to be Team Crutch who's able to get in there with the advantage. They are on the side that makes it a little bit easier for them to get into, as it's on their side of the map. But now we've got the third Fangtooth. Primal Fangtooth will be the next one up. Also, the Orb Prime buff is available, so this game is about to get a little bit tighter than it already was, if that's possible.
I don't even know if that is possible. I mean, minus the kills, everything else is very, very close. Mid laners, like what, a level difference. Junglers, a level difference. Off lane, a little bit different. You know, Ock is more, handedly winning that lane than anyone else on this map, able to take down the tier 2 even. So that's kind of going in favor of Team Crutch, along with the kills, obviously. But other than that, it's really, really close. And it's going to remain close probably until this next Fangtooth fight as well, when I think the teams are going to have to, stop farming for a bit, group back up, and choose whether or not they're going for this Prime, or going to trade it out for a Primal Fang, or try and secure both.
I think that is the play. I also want to highlight, you mentioned the tier 2 being taken down in the off lane by Ock. I think that Aurora, very similar to... Oh, I thought they were about to be able to jump up there. That was going to be crazy. In a bad spot, gonna have to flash away. But I think very similar to Shinbi in the ability to split push, has a lot of mobility and escape tools within the kit in order to be able to get away if anybody does chase you down. Has the ability to take some paths that other heroes don't have available to them because of their verticality. And it is going to go in, hit the Cryogasm right away. Going to hit the Hoarfrost onto it as well. But you're alone, Ock, and you're going to get blown up. So the strongest member of Team Crutch is down for this. We'll see if Team Crutch decides to take this 4v5, but I don't think that would be very wise of them, as it's just Snipe having to try to run away, not really any long range engage, and they're just going to take this Orb Prime buff potentially. But Crutch and the rest of the boys are in. Warp's going to peel off away from it. Going to go in big. Doesn't actually get the call off as he got stunned down into it. Now going to hit it. The Soulforge George does come forward. Going to have to go out. Warp's going to have to blink away, but Orb Prime going to be the best member of Team Team Crutch. Take that down. Pogdy still moving in forward. Snipe very low on the health bars. One more auto is going to do it. Pog's going to take them down as well. That is 4 members. Only TG White Wolf available, but they do not have their jungler. I don't think they can turn onto this Orb Prime.
No, I don't think they can. It was a good, claw back coming out from Crutch, able to take down the jungler, able to take down Bellica so that the other team couldn't get that Orb Prime. But that whole engagement doesn't look the way it does if Akram doesn't get a little bit too desperate for an initiation. Ak went in pretty much solo into 5 right after burning the blink, and there was no teammates to help the Aurora out.
Yeah, nobody around at all. I don't think anybody was even within like a Decker Ball range of where Ock was at in that spot. If Ock would have been able to get that pick, would have worked really well for the team, secured the Orb Prime for them. I just don't think that they had the vision, and I don't think Ock was aware that the rest of the teammates were right around the corner, and that 2v1 quickly turned into a 4v1. So once again, a little bit of a standstill, though. We get a little bit of a fight going out, but, nobody's able to capitalize at the end of it because nobody wins it clean enough to capture an objective off of it.
Yeah, but now Ock, once again, in between 5 warps, using the ultimate, and the ultimate traded in return from Ock, but it's just not going to be enough. Blown up by Poggy D, and it's another opportunity for this Prime.
It is, and this time they've got the members there, and they are ready to go for it. They see Drongo on the other side of the map. They see Crutch about to cross over in the mid as well. They're going to have to just give this up. Primal Fangtooth not even close to spawning, so the best they can do is have these 2 tier 2 towers fall. I don't know if they're going to have the time in order to be able to do that, because the Orb Prime has officially been captured by Team J.
Yeah, but Verdict here on the other side of the map looking to split push. This could be a second tier 2 tower falling, a wave crashing into mid as well. So not going to take down that tower, but maybe this one. And a little bit of a consolation prize. They have more map control for this Fang. They've got, more map control for this entire, side for Crutch to be able to invade this jungle. But now all 5 members are coming over here.
Oh, and Crutch is going to have to use the charge to try to get away, but Warp's still in hot pursuit. Snipe's going to come around, maybe get a containment fence out, but got stuck on the ledge a little bit. Ooh, the Cole's going to come out as is off the cooldown, going to force the blink out of Snipe. They are still just pressing forward. TG White Wolf needs to be careful that they don't just turn around and kind of walk towards him. They are going to claim the first tier 1 tower of the game for Team J. Do want to mention that 2 tier 2s are down for Team J. That is the first one for Team Crutch that has fallen. Once again, though, they are into this Orb Prime buff right now with Primal Fangtooth spawning right now. So yeah, they don't have like super control of where the map is, but if they get this next objective, the standing gold on the map that they might be able to pick up all of those tier 1s, all of those tier 2s is going to accelerate their builds and their economies very quickly.
Yeah, and they definitely have the power play advantage right now with this Orb Prime, especially with the Narbash. Narbash, a walking fountain, but with Orb Prime, he's like 2 walking fountains. This guy is never going to run out of mana. He is going to keep his entire team alive. They have to make sure they kill him first, or they have to make sure they have enough damage to burst through the healing.
Uh-oh, and Ox is in there alone once again. Got a little bit baited by it. Crutch is in there as well, but they're going to blow Offram up super fast, and that's going to be the rest of them falling as well. Crutch is going to go down. That's 2 members down, probably the more important 2 members down. Going to have to use the shrapnel cannon to get away from Warp is Drongo as well, and at the beginning of that, Snipes is all the way over by the tier 2 tower on right, went to the wrong side of the map at that, which I think gave Team J the confidence they needed in order to be able to execute that bait that they just did. But they're just watchers at this point. They're just watching this fall. Maybe they steal it with something big. They were able to pick up RJ there, but it is going to be the Primordial Fangtooth going over to Team J.
Yeah, they really need to start using these balls from White Wolf and these stuns from the Decker as well. Those need to be the initiations, because much like this Grux, it looks as if Aurora is having a lot of trouble getting in and getting into range to use her initiations and her stuns as well. So I really think they need to use this long range advantage they have, and then have the other characters who are having trouble getting in use the opportunity while those characters are stunned to get in and continue the CC chain. Akram has been a little bit too desperate to be the initiator, and it's not worked out in the last, I don't know, 3-4 times.
It hasn't, and it looks like it might be repeating again as Akram is going to come in here onto warps. We saw in game 1 of this that Chimera has some strengths into Aurora with the ability to cleanse some of that stuff. So able to kind of just split there, get themselves apart, but a lot going on in this game, a lot to analyze.
Absolutely. Warps actually, you look at this, level 15, just like Aurora, and guess who else is level 15? It's the Greystone. Auk has, had a lead, a multiple level lead, but that's just been completely evened out, even with the multiple deaths that have come out of RJ. The score lines are actually the same, 1 and 3 for both of these offlaners. Yeah, RJ is down still 100 CS, which is not insignificant. Akram still definitely won that lane, but they're starting to be able to punish Auk, and the lead that was there has been completely erased.
It has been erased. I mean, yeah, they got the CS, got the obelisk, so a little bit of extra power as well. But it actually starting to look like what this Aurora needs is a little bit of beefiness, not really getting all of the options off in a fight because they're getting blown up so quickly, especially when they're trying to do these initiations alone they are. I feel like it's really started to help let Team J back into this game as they've got their mindset and looking over towards this right side of the map and where this Aurora is. That's where everybody's pressured at, and it's an interesting decision. They already have that tier 1 tower down. I'm not sure what the purpose of grouping around here is.
Well, they really want this next prime that's coming up. Look at the vision control that they have on that side of the map. The tier 2 tower there is also the weakest of all of the tier 2s. They continue to put pressure there. They can potentially secure this prime. They really, and also, let's be honest, they've been able to get picks onto Auk pretty easily, despite the mobility that's coming out of that character. They know that this is one of the places that they really want to, put pressure and force a lot of, their map control onto and their man advantages on.
Indeed, they are, TDM. We are getting close to the point where this prime is going to respawn probably 45 seconds to a minute from now. So likely to just see a little bit more farming and ward wars going on as they're trying to get into this What do you think that they need to do? I know that you mentioned the stun balls instead of just having Aurora and Grux charge in there. What sort of angles are they looking for? Who are they trying to hit with these stun balls in order to start the fight on the side of Team Crutch?
Well, ideally, they're going to want to, well, Ak is just trying to get away right now. Ideally, they're going to want to maybe land them on onto the Kira here, Poggy D, that Crutch is kind of looking at. But look, because has a slight range disadvantage, he gets poked out, gonna have to fall back, much like Ak, who had to blink away. And now there's more pressure for the side of Team J onto this mini prime. Oh, sorry, mini prime, big prime.
Right, and then Pog just comes, once again, sees that the pull has been used by Crutch there, knows that they can poke it for free. Now Crutch is about half health. The Orb Prime has spawned at this point. Crutch probably going to have to reset, is pushing that B button right now, actually. So this is an opportunity, if they can get an idea that Crutch is going to have to respawn, to just kind of jump on this before he's going to be able to come back to the lane. They are just sweeping it for ward, so the enemy team does not know that Team J and Warp specifically are standing right here. They do just get that one ward down, gonna clear it out very, very quickly. So still in the dark are Team Crutch.
In the dark indeed, but Crutch has returned. He was given enough time to back and come in. Now, Akram on the right-hand side is looking for another initiation, and with the walls around, it's going to be hard, and Akram is going to have to be the initiation because there's not going to be CC that lands. Goes onto Meds, who's forced to blink away.
Is forced to blink away, and that isn't going to be quite what they were looking for in order to start this fight. Ak did have the flank, was going to have to walk over a ward anyways, though, and just takes a crap ton of poke right there. Half health already, is going to wall those people out, but that's only for a couple of seconds. They do have the opportunity to go up onto Warps, but Warps is going to turn around, kill them back. That's going to be Crutch falling. Ak also going quite low. Warps still pressuring forward onto it. Gonna have to flash from TG White Wolf in order to get away. Gonna be Verdict falling in the back line as well. There goes Snipe. Now 3 members are down, 5 still up for Team J. Akram is getting pressured here, gonna jump away, gonna use the blast cone, is gonna get out, but it's gonna put Warps back into the pit where he's supposed to be anyways, so that they can take this Orb Prime at 34 minutes.
And RJ is just going to continue to run at Akram to make sure that Aurora can't push the B button, and is going to be continued to be chased down. Probably not going to be killed, but RJ is just able to make sure that Ak stays busy and isn't going to be able to do anything in the upcoming engagement around this Primal Fang. Ak, who is running in that direction, might end up facing all 5 members.
Might, but just easily gets out there with, you know, the double mobility spells that are in that kit. Actually, RJ's not giving up. They say, hey, RJ, go get her. And he says, okay, I got her. And he's just running at her, still a little bit far behind now, especially that Ak has gotten that little bit of an advantage, but he does the job. The job is to stop Ak from being able to disrupt the Primal Fangtooth, which Team J takes clearly. A little bit of game of cat and mouse, but it ends up in a Raptor tank.
Ak is able to get away, but the Fangtooth does not, as Team J secures it and also secures 3rd Fang for themselves. Despite being down, what? Were they down 0-2 earlier in the game? They're the ones who end up getting the 3rd Fang. This is looking a little bit scary if I'm on the side of Team Crutch. Double buffed up and winning team fights pretty handedly.
The outscale is complete, Tedium. The members of Team J are just doing more right now. Crutch is going to catch a ball. That's not great for him. White Wolf's going to be able to finish it up, and this should mostly be close to the end of the game. There's not much that they can really do here as long as Team J is able to complete what they didn't do last time. They took all 3 inhibs around the same minute mark. I think they took them about 5 minutes before in the last game, but they weren't able to get to the core, which, TDM, I know that's your favorite objective in the game. Hopefully this time they're able to do it. It is going to be quite a bit tougher for them. Actually, it does look like Pog D got picked somewhere. I'm not sure where that was at. I thought it was the other way that the kills went, but actually that's good for Team Crutch. It's not going to spell the end of the game because that's a decent amount of their team fight potential, but it should be these tier 2s falling and pressuring into the inhibs.
Yeah, because Poggy D did fall, they're probably going to be able to defend at least this initial onslaught. Akram also, this Aurora has really good base defense, able to clear waves really quickly, also able to put a wall up to keep the enemy waves from coming into the tower, keeping the enemy heroes from coming into the tower. And of course, they have so much wave clear and so much damage. They kill warps on their left side, and it's a successful base defense into double buff.
It is, they are hanging on, you know, and this is what we saw from them in the last game. Great defense. They get pressured by a double buff, do what they can to survive it. Don't lose a single inhibitor, which is absolutely a massive for them. I think a lot of that has to do with the pick on PogD early in it, but it's still scary for them. They still doesn't feel like they're winning most of these team fights. Their execution is going to have to be pretty flawless in order to be able to pull the rest of this game out.
I think as long as they can, you know, remain alive prior to these next objectives, I think they do stand a chance. And as we just saw, even if they maybe lose an objective or two, they have decent base defense. So I don't think they're out of this just yet. I need them to tighten it up prior to an objective. I don't want to see any picks. I don't want to see a blink forced out of Crutch. I don't want to see, you know, a pick onto either jungler. I think this needs to be clean, they need to be concise, and they need to work together to ensure that they can get at least one of these next two objectives.
It is probably the hinge of the game, whether or not they're going to be able to become a part of it and take a real opportunity at getting this core. They're either going to be looking for some sort of split push like they saw to end game 2, or some miracle pick team fight is going to have to come out for them. But I do still think that they are the ones that are in the defensive spot here, as it feels like Team J still has pretty good control over this.
Absolutely. And ward control as well. Look at that, like 4 wards already onto the Orb Prime side, all put down by Team J. They're going to continue to do so. They have the easier side to get into the pit. Earlier in the game, you pointed out that Team Crutch had the advantage on Fangtooth side because they have the better side to get into the pit. Same thing happening here for the side of Team J, and they also have the late game advantage in their team fight, in their scaling. So I really think it's looking scary, but it's not impossible here for Crutch.
It definitely isn't. They also have, like we've mentioned a couple of times, this really good long range engage. They've got the ability to throw those Decker balls, to throw the Dread Novas, pick somebody from quite a ways away. One of the issues that they do have with that is they don't really have anybody that can jump to that person if a long range stun does land. We talked about the problem with Grux and his short range engagements. The pull doesn't have that long. The charge doesn't have that long. So although they need to be looking at getting these stuns onto the right people, they can't do it from too far away, or it's just going to be wasted and there's going to be no follow-up with it.
The other thing that they don't have working in their favor is on that Orb Prime side, when they're fighting for that objective, they don't really have the side of the map where they can get an easy long range stun off. There's a bunch of walls in the way from the side, from the blue side to the Orb Prime. On the Fangtooth side, it's a little bit easier because of course they've got those holes in the walls in the pit that they can throw down.
Perfect. And we do see that they have started the Primordial Fangtooth. Akram is not on this side of the map, so Team Crutch at a little bit of a disadvantage man-wise. Gonna have to do what they can to just try to stop it. They're not gonna be able to. That's gonna be the 4th Fangtooth of the game. Takes up for Team J, the Primordial Blaze once again. And we do see Ak doing the split push thing, gonna get in here, definitely gonna claim this inhib. Looks like actually J does just get back. They do have enough? Okay, so Ox able to get that inhib, much like what we saw at game 2, but it looks like they might be giving up this Orb Prime for it, as the members aren't really too far away from being able to get in here. The health bar for it should be able to get going. Crutch in there gets a big Warlord charge, knocks up onto 2 of them, split the team fight in half, does Akram. The Horror Cross comes through. Mr. Med's gonna be the first to fall. Akram going low now, right into the arms of Jay. Do they blink? And they are gonna get blown up as well. 2 members down for both sides of it right now. Jay and PogD looking forward. White Wolf doesn't have the ult available, so can't turn around and do that. Warp's tanking the Orb Prime. Do have a lot of damage coming through when PogD gets in here after the missiles blow. That's probably what they're waiting for to get Pog in here. Jay doing what he can to help out with it, but nice team fight. They're able to keep their jungler alive is the main part.
I like this move here from Pog, just doing a little bit of damage over the wall, just making sure that they can't be hit by the missiles when that attack does come out. Able to keep your ADC safe, even when they are low on health. And that's the Orb Prime and the Primal Fang secured for Team J for like the third time, maybe even the 10th time in this series. This is looking, I keep saying it, it's not looking great for Crutch, but their base defense is strong. They didn't lose a single inhibitor last time, and if they can do that again, if they can get a pick onto a priority target like the Kira or the Bellica or even Warps, the 3 characters that have the double buff, I think that they can secure another successful defense. And keep in mind, Narbash, neither buff on that character, so the benefit of being an Orb Prime team with a Narbash, it's a little bit lessened.
It is a little bit lessened, and we do see we're hitting that 42-minute mark right now. Everybody's at full build. CG White Wolf doing a little bit of time, hanging out in the base, deciding what 7th item he wants to build. Maybe, I'm not exactly sure, but he's just chilling there. He has decided to jump out of it. Jay gonna do a little bit of wave clearing here. Does have the Spellbreaker around, so it's gonna take a little bit more to get onto the Bellica, doing what they can. We mentioned the vulnerability of a character like Bellica if they don't have Blink. Well, now she's got an Epoch. Now she's got a Spellbreaker. Decently safe, although they do have a decent amount of options to try to break that. But this should be this inhib falling down on their side. A nice little engage is going to come out. Seismic Assault's going to pop up. That is going to be Crutch falling once again. Narbash standing in there, tanking the tower up. Inhib is going to fall. Team J has their eyes set to push down this middle lane, as 81 seconds still remain in the death timer for this. RJ doing what you're supposed to do, tanking that tower up. Hawk trying to stop warps, but it's going to be the inhib on the other side that's going to fall. Now 2 inhibs down for Team J. They are using this double buff very well for themselves. The second wave is going to come in. That should be the 3rd inhib falling, but we did see this in game 2 as well.
We did see it in game 2, but they don't have someone like Akarim pushing down a wave. Instead, the waves are all on their core, and Akarim is all in their fountain, dead immediately, as is the core. Team J take it in game 3.